How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the Blue Shifting, and welcome back to Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 3. So, last time we had the baseball arc, which is pretty fun. And I think if we're going to pull any particular things of note from that kind of sequence, I think it really hammered home this idea that Satoko, what makes her strong is that she's good at anticipating how people will behave and predicting like the way they respond to circumstance, and kind of being able to set up situations around that. I also think it's important to see how like much she knows about the forest and stuff, because I think that's probably going to become relevant in the future as well. That's just me guessing though. But I had a thought. It is really random, and I don't know if it's going to be, but like sometimes I feel like I get these thoughts and they do seem well timed. I promise I don't like, if you've watched my channel long enough, you know I don't like peek ahead or do spoilers or whatever, but I kind of had something hit me all of a sudden, because I was thinking about like traps and how Satoko, like, how does Satoko fit into the bigger scheme of things, right? And I was thinking about it, and then I realized that there is something that's never quite been addressed in the last few chapters so far. In chapter 1, the serum was a really big plot point. The mysterious, like, hallucinogenic that like what made people lose their minds to the point where they killed themselves. And we found a syringe of that was they attempted to use on us at the time, but then the syringe went missing. And part of me is wondering if Satoko, like, she talks about how like she had like I think in one example she was talking about one of the traps in one of her tips, where she was describing how she could coat like a nail or a twig that's sharp with not a poison that was meant to like kill, but something that would make you go numb for a little bit, right? Like an anesthetic. And so if she understands and utilizes poisons and things in part of her traps, like she's got a good kind of sense for that kind of thing. Maybe she knows or understands or even discovered the concoction. I don't think she discovered it per se, like organically, wherever it came from, but it definitely seems like something that maybe she would understand how to employ or how to utilize or even create. So I'm curious to see if that is something that we'll see in this chapter, because up until now, I just hadn't. I've been so caught up in the whole like cult versus curse debate. I'd forgotten about that, because there's two sides to that. That serum seemed really weird, so it could be like attributed to a curse or mysticism. But at the same time, there also was clearly a cover-up even after the ends of the first chapter. So like, there's the incident with the bat, and then Keiichi runs away feeling like he's being pursued. He makes a call where he's going crazy, and he ends up ripping his own throat out. And then when they go to the crime scene, everything at the crime scene looked the same, except for the fact that the note behind the clock had been altered, and the serum that he had attached to it to try and leave as an evidence trail was no longer there. So someone had come and purposely changed the crime scene. And that sounds like something that, based on what we've seen of Satoko, that seems like her strategy of having to deal with the situations, right? Subtle manipulation. So, yeah, I'm curious to see if that's going to come up in this chapter or not. Because it's something I haven't thought about in a while, and I realized that it's a bit of a gap in like my ability to do theory crafting at this point. So I'm curious to see if that'll come up here. Maybe it'll come out in the next couple chapters. I don't know. Because like, so we have the question arcs, which I think there's 5 or 6 chapters that are questions, and then there's like 2 that are answers, right? So yeah, we'll figure out all of that eventually. Anyway, enough about that, just dilly-dallying. Holly, how's it going? Hope you're enjoying yourself. Let's jump right in, shall we? I also want to say it's been really fun, because coming back, we had it was really fun reading all your comments and how excited you were to jump right back into the series once I got home from my vacation. So glad to have you back. Anyway, all right, so he's off. Where are we going today, Keiichi?
車に気をつけるのよ。晩ご飯までには帰ってらっしゃいね。
Today was the day of the barbecue party that was at a Hinamizawa Fighters Victory Celebration. Of course, I, having prepared myself, skipped breakfast in order to stay hungry. Though with all the club members coming, it was pretty possible there'd be a contest based on how fast or how much you could eat. Rena was already at our usual meeting place. Mion arrived a few minutes later. Basically, same old, same old. Hey.
じゃあ早速行こうかね。おじさん朝ごはんを抜いてきたからお腹ペコペコ。
Glad to see that we aren't the only ones that employed that strategy.
さすがだな。もちろん俺も朝食抜きで万全の体制だぜ。
二人とも朝食抜きは健康に良くないよ。レナはちゃんと食べたんだよ。
そうかそうか。レナは偉いぞ。朝食は一日の基本だもんな。きっと成長途上なミオンを飛び越してナイスバデーになってグラビアを独り占めだ。
Underdeveloped? Yeah, sure.
グラビアを独り占め。ナイスバデーになったらレナのとこにも白馬の王子様とか来てくれるかな
絶対来ないと思う。
I agree.
ケイちゃんも責任取れないならレナにいい加減なことは吹き込まないように。この子明日から3食くらいまとめて朝食を取り出すかもしれないよ。
Yeah, I can see Rena doing that. Wait, who did the gluttonous princess think was going to come for her?
ま、その話は置いといて。とにかく俺たちはいいさっさと行って大バーベキュー大会としゃれ込もうぜ。
Yes. Aww. The venue for said barbecue was to be the Furude Shrine grounds where Rika-chan lived. They held events and festivals there, and barbecues too. It was the place that held all sorts of ceremonies in Hinamizawa. Come to think of it, there was supposed to be a big village festival coming up, wasn't there? Oh boy, here it comes. Watanagashi or something. Yep, that's where everything's gonna go bad. The scenery you could see from up high was fairly superb, and the calm atmosphere particular to shrines was something fairly difficult to find in the city. We left our bicycles at the bottom of the shrine steps and broke into a mad dash up the stairs. When we arrived in the shrine grounds, the Hinamizawa fighters and their fathers had already gathered and begun setting up for the barbecue early. Of course, Satoko and Rika-chan were there as well. When they noticed our arrival, they waved to us.
ほら、忘れずにちゃんと来ましたわね。
Hello, little sis.
皆さんが来なければその分お肉が多く食べられましたのに。実に残念でございましたよ。
甘いぜサトコ。俺たちが来た以上まさか霜降りが一口でも食べられるなんて思ってるんじゃないだろうな。以前ここで弁当を食った時を思い出せ。俺とサトコの致命的なリーチさで今回も圧倒してやるぜ。
なんですって？そんなの絶対に許せませんわ。
泣こうがわめこうがサトコは目の前で牛肉を頬張るのを見るだけだ。
Uniku. I know I heard that phrase before. Gosh darn it, what does that mean? Does that just mean like like meat? I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's just like Uniku. Maybe meal like dinner or lunch. I'm not sure. I know I've heard that before.
安心しろ。ピーマンやナスは譲ってやるからな。
僕もサトコにかぼちゃを焼いたのをいっぱいいっぱい譲ってあげますです。
Man, I'm so basic. Like I absolutely personally grilled squash and peppers and onions that have been like steeped and cooked with like meats like that. I think those sound even better. I'd prefer those. Once Satoko heard the word squash, her complexion changed color. When she took my overwhelming reach into account, she knew it wasn't just a threat. It could actually happen.
監督に伝えとくよ。サトコはかぼちゃが大好きだーって。監督のことだから日本全国から特産のかぼちゃを山盛り集めてきてくれるね。
よかったなサトコ。どのかぼちゃもよりどり緑だぞ。朝から晩までずーっと3食かぼちゃ三昧だ。
わー、レナみんながいじめますな。
Satoko tried to leap into Rena's chest. Oh no, clearly given another second, Rena's mock punches would have us piled up on the ground. So just before Satoko hit Rena, I grabbed her by the nape of the neck and pulled her back. A superb reaction with only seconds of foresight, at least I was supposed to be. Uh-oh. But for Rena, when I caught the leaping, crying Satoko, it looked like I was keeping her to myself. Incoming. Bam, bam, bam.
ダメだよケイチ君。これはレナのなんだよ。お持ち帰り。レナさん。その調子でミオンさんとリカもやっつけてですわよ。
Instant turn.
ちょっとタマ。
Run, Mion! Bam, bam, bam.
さあリカはどこですの？いたレナさん、あそこでしたよ。待っててね、さとこちゃん。すぐにやっつけちゃうよ。
Holy crap, she's just going for it.
そしたらすぐにお持ち帰り。さとこがひどいのです。はうリカちゃんもかわいい。はうお持ち帰り。あはははリカざまあないでございましてよ。
So, Rena's always threatening to take people home. I genuinely thought it was going to be something that was going to come up in the first chapter. And so I wonder if it'll actually come up in later chapters. Like, part of me's wondering if, like, she's got something really kind of terrifying in her basement or something. Satoko laughed in a shrill voice like we could chat in Rena's unproductive game of tag while we watched them sprawled out on the ground.
大丈夫ですか、前原さん。
Irie, yeah, Mr. Coach.
園崎さんも。
The coach came over and lent us a hand.
まあ私たちのいつものコミュニケーションですから、どうぞお気遣いなく。
いつも顔面にあざが残るようなコミュニケーションはもう嫌だぞ。
Agree. You never learn, do you? Laughed the coach loudly. He made us start to laugh too. Satoko's laughter, Rika-chan's yelling, and Rena's strange voice were kind of comfortable to hear. The adults here knew what they were doing, so the barbecue was ready in short order. As the salad oil dripped down onto the plate with a hiss, there was a loud cheer. When the coaches brought over a big plate with all the meat on it, we all cheered again. Ah, sounds so fun.
これ本当にすごいお肉だよ。
It's actually fun, because like we're entering, at this time of year, where I am, we're entering into the fair season. So actually this coming weekend, we're going to a small fair. Then we have the state fair, which is a pretty big fair. That goes for like almost 2 full weeks that we're probably going to go to. And then in the early fall, there's probably going to be at least 1 or 2 others. But even if there isn't, that's also when the apple orchards go into full, like when they're fully ripe. I'm a big fan of apples. And I have, there's an orchard that's like about a 10-minute drive away from our house that has some of the most amazing apples I've ever tasted. They're just so good. It's almost like, it's one of those things that's amazing because like apples being a fruit, they're sweet, right? But beyond just normal like apple sweetness, there's these apples that they have. I think they call them Emperor Fuji apples. They're pretty large, and they're just the perfect consistency where it's like it's just sweet and tart enough that it balances out really well. And so it's like it's refreshing and it makes you feel good to eat it, but it also tastes so delicious in just that perfectly balanced way where it almost feels like it's not even like, it doesn't feel like you're eating something healthy. It just is pleasant to eat. And so they're here talking about festivals and food and everything, and that's all just becoming reality here for me. So I'm like, that's really fun. Like, I love this kind of stuff. This stuff is some of my favorite things, is just going and participating in big community get-togethers. I think as a kid I thought it was boring, but as I've gotten older I've realized that there's a lot to be said about just having the sense of community, people coming together and preparing food together. There's just something special about that. And that's something that I feel like as the world's getting more modern, I think we're starting to lose some of that. Well, like the events are still happening, but they used to be kind of the only source of entertainment for a lot of people because, you know, it didn't have the internet. And so they were just really important to like community, and it helps you get to know all your neighbors. And I worry we are losing that because we're just so focused on the internet sometimes. So I think it's really good to put things down, look at what's happening in your area, and just try and participate even a little bit. Like, I got a good example is farmers markets. Just go and buy local produce from local businesses and local farmers. Like, that's really cool.
監督、本当に大奮発したんだね。
約束ですからね。これなんかグラムいくらするか知ってます？本当に奮発したんですよ。
当然ですわ。三流のお肉じゃ昨日の私の大活躍をねぎらうには値しませんでしたよ。
Yeah, you were the genius.
そうだね。今日の主品はさとこちゃんに違いないね。
確かに最後のホームランを打ったのは 紛れもなくサトコだもんな。しかも油断させたといえ、小細工なしの特大アーチ。
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Like, she manipulated and got the situation to kind of work in her favor. But then she delivered. She had to actually have the skill to deliver in that situation.
サトコは運動神経は良いのです。
悪いどころか世代的には突出してるんじゃない？私なんかと比べても運動能力は決して劣らないでしょ。
Interesting.
サトコちゃんってひょっとすると将来はスポーツ界で大活躍できるかもね。なんだか褒めちぎられて照れますわね。むしゃむしゃ。
Satoko, for whom the excessive praise made her not notice the moderately grilled meat being stolen one after another, was just too cute.
前原さん、重い。
You two again? Tomita-kun and Okumura-kun were carrying something over to us. It was a huge barbecue plate.
おお、これぞまさしくバーベキューの主人公の到着じゃねえかよ。
The plate was chock full of skewers with vegetables and meat on them. The grilled, burning hot meat juice made a shh sound as they drizzled off. Gulp. You need a lot of heat for cooking something on meat skewers, so they had to grill the whole plate at once.
やっぱりこれがなきゃバーベキューとは言わないですよね。
ああ、まったくだ。俺も手を貸すから早く持っていこう。よいしょ、よいしょ。
わあ、見て見て、すごいのが来たよ。
Everyone greeted us with a cheer. Each person received a skewer with vegetables and a piece of meat on it. And a big piece of meat on it. They also received paper cups filled to the brim with juice. In my right hand were pounds of piping hot barbecue. In the left was a cup of juice I could chug down. If this didn't make you want to dance, you weren't a man. I'd agree with that.
おお、もう我慢できないぜ。ガブッといくぞ、ガブッと。
Don't
ま
burn
だまだ
yourself.
ケイちゃん。ほらほら、一応セレモニーってことで。
Oh?
みんな注目。
The coach, with a cup of beer in his hand, mounted the nearby beer cooler. This was supposed to be a victory celebration, after all. We needed an opening statement. Dang, hope it ends soon. For every second this goes on for, a little more of the food's freshness goes away. Oh, Satoko stomped down on the back of my foot.
まったく、いい年の男が卑しいですわね。もう少しエレガントに我慢できませんの？
俺ってつくづく思ってることが顔に出ちゃうのな。
じゃあみんないいですか？昨日は大勝利でしたね。すごいピッチャーの登場で苦戦もしましたが、こちらも同じくらい頼もしい助っ人の登場で見事逆転勝利を収めることができました。
Alright. Clap, clap, clap. Both my hands were full, so the adults and the older brothers gave us a round of applause.
今日はその戦勝祝賀会です。約束通り美味しいお肉をいっぱい用意しましたからね。今日はいっぱい食べて次の試合への活力にしていきましょう。
Very kind of him, honestly, because he probably doesn't get paid a lot, so this actually, would probably be cutting into the budget. Then, after a few words of thanks to the fathers and brothers who helped with the barbecue, he led us in a toast.
Kanpai!
Kanpai. They say that when toasting, you would normally sit down and normally down the contents of your cup. But we were young. At the toast, all of us immediately began to dig into our skewers. After that, it got real lively, with everyone congratulating one another for things they did during the game. Like how someone made a great catch, or how awesome someone looked when stealing a base. Of course, they congratulated me too, the savior who appeared to fight against the Koshian pitcher.
まあ俺の活躍も含めてあれはサトコの活躍だったわけだがな。
確かにサトコの作戦ではあったけどさ、亀田を口説き落とすなんて真似はケイちゃん以外にはできなかったわけだし。
It's true, we spoke his language.
十分ケイちゃんも称えられるに値する活躍をしてるよ。
そういえばケイチくん、あの後亀田くんと一緒にケーキを食べに行ったんだよね。
Oh.
なんだかすっごく仲良さそうだった。
ライバル関係から男同士の友情が芽生えちゃったわけ？
Sure, we'll go with that instead of the seeds of pervertedness between us.
そういうのって なんだかその
Oh, you calm down about that. No. No. I violently blushed through Rena's hair, brushed through Rena's hair as she turned red in the face for some reason at the mention of friendship between males, dispersing her pleasant-seeming ideas. Now then, where's the hero, or rather the heroine, Satoko? Oh, there she is. Satoko was with Rika-chan in the middle of bragging her heart out about the home run yesterday. And her teammates spared no spared no compliment for her, since even though they were going easy on her, the fact that she hit a throw from Koishin pitcher was something else. Satoko was more loquacious than usual. Seems like she was in a great mood. She was flying so high that I thought for a moment about getting a word in to tease her, but she was the leading actress today, so I decided not to bully her at all. As I watched Satoko going at things as lively as usual under the sun, it struck me that it didn't quite line up with the pleasant time I'd spent with her. But both of those were the real Satoko. I didn't care which it was, her smiling happily or making a big lively fuss like this. Just as long as she would keep smiling like this forever. Oh, that's such a flag. The coach had approached me from behind before I realized it. As he gazed at Satoko from afar, like I had been doing, he addressed me. So I could tell he was talking about her. Alright, yeah, so what's your deal, mister? Like, what is she to you?
さとこちゃんの笑顔を見てると、なんだか心が洗われる気がしません。
He's about to drop a bomb about her past on us. That seems like what's about to happen. He smiled, refreshed, searching for confirmation. I felt a little embarrassed to admit it, so against my better judgment, I played it off.
そうですか？あいつの笑顔じゃ皿一枚ろくに洗えないと思うんですけどね。
それを聞いたら、さとこちゃん怒るんでしょうね。でも、そんな彼女もとってもキュートなんですよ。
Leaving her cuteness aside, I could understand his thinking. Satoko getting angry for being teased would be funny.
イリアさんでしたっけ？
Irie.
イリエです。
Yeah, it's not Irie. When I said Irie, that's my Americanism coming out. It's Irie.
でも、みんな監督って呼びますからね。前原さんも監督と呼んでくださるととても嬉しいです。
Alright. As he said that, Coach, Irie smiled, blushing a little.
監督はサトコのことを気に入ってるみたいですね。
I didn't have any real bias for saying that. It was just what I felt to be true.
ええ、気に入っていますよ。大好きです。
Okay.
彼女がもっと大きくなったら、
Oh!
求婚しようと思ってます。
You better be joking! This guy really said some insane stuff, doesn't he? After being astonished by this, I hurriedly put my mind back in order. I'd heard this coach guy was the kind of person who said crazy things out of nowhere. According to Mion, if I took everything he said seriously, I physically wouldn't be able to take it. If I was able to ignore that part of him, he seemed like he'd be a really funny guy.
あれ？今、前原さん、驚かれました？
Yes?
じゃあ、ひょっとしてさとこちゃんのこと狙っています？それは困ります。私はもう何十年も前から狙ってるんですよ。
That's horrifying. You better be joking, sir. I'm sorry, we're gonna take you out back and have you have a meeting with Chris Hansen.
監督、何十年も前にはまだサトコは生まれてないと思うんですけど。
Exactly.
ん？
Coach gave a dry grin and laughed. Was this how I should be doing it? I must somehow master the art of responding to this coach guy. After that, I received many words of praise for my actions, almost too many. As that conversation was happening, leaving aside the controversial statements this coach person would spout suddenly, I learned he was very composed and not a bad guy by any stretch. I don't know. I don't like him.
俺なんかよりあの特大アーチを放ったサトコの方が賞賛に値すると思いますよ。正直あいつにホームランを打てるなんて思わなかったです。
さとこちゃんのお兄さんはどちらかというとおとなしい文系のタイプでした。
Interesting though. When we learned about him before, he definitely remember he had the baseball bat.
きっとさとこちゃんはその反対の才能に恵まれたんでしょう。
Her brother. Right, he meant Satoshi. The one who left Satoko and ran away from home. Satoko's Nini. Satoshi Hojo.
ご存知ないですか？さとこちゃんのお兄さんです。 北条サトシ君と言いましてね。彼もHinamizawaファイターズで活躍してたんですよ。
I guess he did play baseball.
もっともっと活躍してほしかったんですが、転校してしまいましてね。
へえ、そうなんですか。
So he transferred. Yeah, maybe that was a little more considerate than saying he ran away. Now that he mentioned it, I think it was Rena. I think she said Satoshi transferred too. I didn't know the details of him having run away from home at the time, so I didn't pay much attention to it, but...
兄貴だけ転校したんでしたっけ？そういうのって珍しいですね。
The music's gone. This is where the bombs come. Everyone having fun was far away and the cheerful voices distant. The chorus of the cicadas separated us from them, giving me a sense of distance. At first I thought my own voice was too soft for even me to hear. But for a really long time, Coach didn't respond to my words. So at this point, I began to wonder if I had said something I shouldn't have. Just when I began to feel impatient, Coach finally spoke.
不幸なことがあったんです。いろいろと。
Uh-huh. After informing me that what he was about to say was a secret, Coach began to talk a little at a time. Here we go.
もう3年になります。ちょうど今頃の時期でしたっけ？
Yeah, right around Watanagashi. Interesting.
さとこちゃんのご両親が事故に遭われましてね。
Right.
事故？
ええ、旅先の公園で展望台から転落されましてね。
They're supposed to be just a little time away from the house with the family. They went for a walk on a path through a nature park after it had rained. There was a little viewing platform that could look over a good view. That was the stage which the tragedy was set. The metal fixtures of the viewing platform fence had deteriorated from time, and with all the rain they'd just gotten, they might have loosened somewhat. Right before Satoko's eyes, both the fence and her parents fell. Oh, so she was there! Oh, fetch me! I'm guessing her brother was too. There was a river some tens of meters below. The water level was high due to the rain, and apparently very muddy.
それで、両親は？
Coach gave a thin but melancholy smile and touched his paper cup to his lips. Without saying anything, I knew how unfortunate that accident was and how Satoko's parents had left on an eternal vacation.
じゃあ、サトコって、
I was so focused on being careful with my words, I lost what I was going to say. A single word, orphaned. I knew how little consideration it showed and how much it would hurt Satoko without having to say it aloud. Come to think of it, Satoko lived with Rika-chan. At least that's what I thought I heard from others. Wait, Rika-chan, her father died from illness too, and her mother soon after. I felt like I heard that she was living by herself.
ええ、今はフルデさんと一緒に生活しています。二人ともご両親がいなくて心細い日もあったでしょうが、助け合いながら生活しているようです。
Sisters by circumstance.
親の庇護なく生きていくっていうのは、あの年頃にはとても辛いことだと思います。
Yeah.
前原さんでもその辺はわかるでしょ？
I've only survived because I rely on my parents, and so the only reply I could give was to nod.
フルデさんは特に村のお年寄りに慕われていますからね。この村にいる限り生きていくのにそんなに不自由はないでしょう。
そういえばそうですね。リカちゃんって村のマスコットみたいなところがありますからね。
Village mascot.
確かにこの村での生活には困らないように思います。
Rika-chan could go meep just once and get 2 or 3 croquettes from a vendor after all. Felt like if she asked for help, everyone in the village would.
でもそれはフルデさんだけの特別な事情です。
Oh, interesting.
サトコちゃんも同じというわけではありません。
Rika being so spoiled was just an exception. Upon thinking about it normally, living on your own as a child should be fraught with difficulty. It wasn't then very difficult to imagine how much suffering Satoko had to go through just to live. It wasn't very difficult to imagine. Was I really thinking that? No, I was only thinking the words. I couldn't imagine it in the slightest. How was I supposed to imagine it when I saw that annoying smile of hers? There was no way I could. I found out she was living apart from her brother, and I just kind of vaguely thought that was rather unfortunate. I mean, Satoko was smiling so energetically every single day. Was I thinking that her smiling meant that she wasn't hurt? That she didn't feel lonely? When she found out my parents were coming home the other night, Satoko said, "A family sitting around the dinner table is the most fun way to enjoy a meal of all." Those words held a lot more weight now.
あの子を養子に迎えようと本気で思ったこともあります。
If you hadn't said such creepy stuff, I'd be very impressed.
養子
It's a secret. After warning me, Coach put his index finger to his lips.
私はこの年になるまで本当に堅実に生活してきました。財産もあるし信用もあります。ですが結婚だけはしてない。法律で既婚者でないと養子は取れないって決まってるんですよ。
That makes sense, and I'm guessing that's still the law here. I remember there was a huge debate a while ago about like same-sex couples being able to adopt, because there was a lot of people who were against that, but I think that that's okay now. But a single individual, yeah, I imagine that that would be seen as taking someone in a troubled situation and just kind of keeping them in a situation where it'd be difficult to grow and have room to kind of like be nurtured and cared for. I'd argue that a single parent can be perfectly capable of nurturing a child, but to willfully set up that situation, I can see the argument against that.
だから私はさとこちゃんを養子にしてあげられないんです。残念です。さとこちゃんにパパって呼んでもらえる計画は
Oh
早くも
gosh.
頓挫ですから。
See, that you say that, and it makes me feel like that's real creepy. This guy spouts some crazy stuff. At first, I was only half listening, but midway through, I realized how rude that was. The coach person seriously only wished for this one girl, Satoko, to be happy. That was neither crazy nor was it nonsense. He just wanted her to be happy. Those were his true feelings.
さとこちゃんの今の生活は決して幸福なものではないでしょう。
I mean, would it be unreasonable? I wonder what our parents would say, because it sounds like our parents are fairly well off. Like, what if we went to them and just said, "Hey, my friend Satoko basically has to live on her own with another kid her age. What if we adopted her? What if we just made her an actual sibling?" I'd be tempted to go for that. Heck, we found a stray cat this week, and like we're basically inches away from just adopting it outright. We just need to basically. I think if it accepts us and it starts approaching us and showing us love, and like wanting to, and it clearly like wants to be around us for more than just like an occasional like snack to keep it going, we're probably just adopting the darn thing, which I'm totally fine with. But it's just like, if I saw a situation like this as an adult, and I knew that like my kids were friends with another kid who was basically an orphan, I'd be real sorely tempted to just adopt them, especially if I knew like they got along with my kids and they got along with me. I'd be like, you know what? Absolutely, come here.
でもね、それをほんの少しでも和らげてあげたいと思ってるんです。もっとも余り物のお裾分けや力仕事のお手伝いくらいしかしてあげられませんがね。
Alright, but besides like the creepy implications, like why are you so invested in her? Like, what's your motivation there? I'd love to know like why. I can understand like you don't need a reason why, but especially with how creepy he's being about saying things like, "Oh, I want her to call me Papa and I want to like marry her someday." It's like, ugh. Please give me better justification.
幸せですよ、サトコ。
Huh? Coach swelled surprise at me having declared that.
こんなにもサトコの幸せを強く願う人間がこんなに身近にいて不幸なわけがありません。
I spoke with a serious expression, quietly but firmly all the same. It was my approval of his feelings and my gratitude to Satoko's Nini.
ありがとう。でも、さとこちゃんには内緒にしてくださいね。彼女、私が養子にしたいなんて知ったら、こんなスケベ男なんか誰がパパと呼ぶものですかって。
Yeah.
憤慨しそうですから。
Well, for good! I wonder. Satoko may have been somewhat childish, but she was still able to empathize with people. She called him that. I knew it. And if my feelings had gotten across, Coach grinned, satisfied, and returned his gaze to the hustle and bustle before us. Her parents and her older brother. She lost her family, had no relatives, and was huddled up with Rika-chan, who was in the same situation. Satoko, oh, I right-clicked, I'm sorry. Satoko Hojo. It wouldn't be odd for her to look at her life with despair, but she didn't seem to feel that way. She lived energetically with a smile.
あの子にはね、いつまでも笑っていてほしいんです。
Yeah, me too. It was a naive wish, and yet there was one it was one that he couldn't help hoping for. So, the words I spoke were the same.
奇遇ですね。俺も同じことを考えています。
おや、前原くんもですか？では私たちは仲間ですね。約束しましょう。
Yeah?
約束？
It's a very simple one. The coach said this, giving me a grin.
絶対に彼女を泣かせたりしない。
It was short and to the point.
あ、はい。俺もそれ約束します。
Coach nodded happily. We exchanged no more words after that. We just sat there comfortably, gazing at Satoko and everyone else having a good time. She'd certainly lost family, but there were people watching over her. How reassuring must that have been?
仮にですよ。
Oh, what was that book? I remember reading a book a long time ago. It was like it took place in like the Old West, like American Old West, and the story is about a boy who's like probably at Sotoko's age, like I think 12, who like lost his parents and lived with his grandfather. But the story is that they have like this tiny little ranch, you know, they kind of scrape a living by, but his grandpa gets really, really sick and basically is bedridden, and they're not sure he'll ever recover. And so this kid just starts trying to run the ranch as best he can on his own, and they're like going through a winter and they don't have a whole lot of food, and so he has to he begs for he tries to work as much as he can to earn some feed, and like the villager, like the people in the city, like try to help him as best they can, but they also have to make sure they have like what they need for their homes and their families and their cattle, so like they can only give so much. And so he ends up selling a bunch of like the cows that they have like in the middle of the winter, like has to drive them like 50 miles to like a place to sell them. And like then the kid like guess like the whole end of the story is about him entering a dog sled race with his family dog, pulling a sled with just him on it, and trying to win it to earn enough money to be able to help them like keep the farm and to hopefully get medicine for his grandpa. And I guess it's a sweet story, but it feels reminiscent of the Satoko situation. This idea of like, I'm a kid having to be grown up way too fast, and like having a community that clearly wants to help, but is limited in what they can do. So yeah, very similar. So hypothetically,
サトコを養子にできたらどうします？
それは難しい質問ですね。
oh no. Coach gave a wry, happy smile, then exaggeratedly tilted his head in contemplation.
まずですね、私のことをご主人様と呼ばせて、優しく可憐なメイドにします。
Hello, Shion. I wasn't sure we'd see you here. How does this guy always pick the craziest time to say the craziest things?
前原くん、私まだ何も言ってませんよ。
何言ってんですか？今はっきりと言ったじゃないですか。
Hey.
サトコを自分専属のプリッチーなメイドにするってはっきり言いました。
ああ、それはいいですね。
You're not helping yourself.
さとこちゃんをプリチー。
あ、プリティとプリチーは似てるようで微妙に違いますからね。日本のわびさびをミックスした和洋折衷の言葉なので注意してください。
Be careful of mixing refined Japanese words and English together. I want to see that.
あ、プリティとプリチーは似てるようで微妙に違いますからね。日
Those are.
本のわびさびをミックスした和洋折衷の言葉なので注意してください。
Those are very, very similar. Holy cow.
なるほどな。いやー、日本語は本当奥が深いよな。
Also, so are we just are we in the know about Shion, or are we about to have a like, wait, who are you?
そうそう、ケイちゃんはよく理解してます。ではそういうことで。
My hand shot out and grabbed Shion, smiling, waving, and about to leave by the nape of her neck.
おい待てこら、突然現れて何をとんでもないことを言ってやがるんだ。
とんでもないことって言ったら、ケイちゃんと監督がしてたサトコラブなトークの方がよっぽどとんでもないと思いましたけど。
Oh gosh.
養子縁組のあたりから再現してご覧に入れます？
Oh, you stop that! No!
お前、そんな時から息を潜めていやがったのか。
Yeah, she does tend to do that.
お姉にすらかなわないケイちゃんが私に歯向かおうなんて100年早いってことです。
It's a big talk, Shion, but I like the good chutzpah. This was Shion Sonozaki, the younger of the Sonozaki twins. Though she hadn't had a scrap of the reserved quality you'd expect from a little sister. She was a villain, no better than her older sister Mion. We met the other day in town. I dug myself into a hole when I mistook her for Mion. Unlike Mion, Shion said she was living in Okinomiya, and so I thought we'd never see each other again, but to think we actually would. Yeah, I kind of thought we wouldn't either. Man, I still remember, like, I was so invested in the whole Shion was fake and Mion was just trying to express herself differently. And to have it actually be real was such a funny reveal. It blew me away. My frankly displeased expression didn't change a bit either. This must be what people meant when they say something like water off a duck's back.
シオンさん、よく来てくれましたね。来てくれないと思ってがっかりしてたんですよ。
まあ他にすることが思いつかなかったってことです。ちょっとからかいに行こうかなくらいですので。
監督、どうしてシオンが戦勝祝賀会に呼ばれなくちゃなんないんです？
Why, are you mad?
こいつがどうチームの勝利に貢献したっていうのか。
それはですね、実は私がひなみざわファイターズのマネージャーだからなんです。
Really? God.
マネージャー？
The Sonozakis are something else.
嘘だろ？そんならなんで昨日の試合にいなかったんだよ。
マネージャーはマネージャーでも幽霊マネージャーですから。
Okay. She seemed to think that I'd forgive her if she stuck her tongue out and smiled. She wasn't sorry at all.
シオンちゃんが来てくれないと試合に花がないんです。
Okay, so you're just a creep to everybody, all the young girls. Yeah, I'm really thinking you need to meet with Chris Hansen.
練習までとは言いませんから、試合にくらいまた昔みたいに応援に来てくれませんかね。
まあ考えておきます。ケイちゃんがひなみざわファイターズに移籍するんなら考えてもいいかな。
Oh, don't put that on us.
私、かっこいい男の子がいないと応援する張り合いがないんです。
Oh, just casually doing that, huh? What? I know, right? Same thing. Basically, my experience, anytime people have ever flirted with me, it's basically, wait, what? What? Did she just smoothly say something so absurd?
シオン、あんたまだどこから湧いて出たの？
Where did you come from? Suddenly, Mion came running over, latched onto my shoulders, and pulled me toward her.
あー、みーちゃんの妹さんだ。しーちゃん、こんにちは。
レナさん、まだ1回しか会ってないのに名前を覚えてもらって光栄です。
あ、こちらこそレナの名前を覚えててくれてありがとう。
そんな挨拶はどうでもいいの。
Mion, you're so jealous.
ケイちゃんの勧誘なんてダメだからね。
You're not allowed to solicit.
ケイちゃんは我が部のホープなんだから、野球なんかに引っこ抜かないで。
Mion gave a low growl as she gripped my arm. She looked like a little girl desperately clinging to her toy.
ケイチ君はうちの部活の期待の新人なの。だからトレードとかは全然ダメなんだよ。
I am both honored and a little perturbed. Retta's smile had a nonchalant bloodthirst. Oh, geez. She was blocking Shion's way, ready to unleash the ultimate attack if she got within 2 meters of me. I feel like this is gonna turn into a bloody battle.
それは残念です。じゃあ交渉はまたの機会に。あんたに交渉権なんかないの？
There will be no negotiating.
監督、なんでシオンまで呼んだわけ？シオンは丸1年もサボってる幽霊部員じゃない。
シオンちゃんがいると賑やかになって楽しいかなって思ったんですけどね。
Well, he's not wrong.
実に賑やかになりました。
That was what he planned all along. Mission accomplished.
ほらケイちゃんおいでおいで
Get over here!
みんなでゲームやるよもちろん罰ゲーム付きでね
しーちゃんもどう？ルールは簡単だし楽しいよ。
どうしようかな
Symbiotic, you're like, absolutely not!
私が参加すると勝っちゃいますから
Oh, but you throw down the gauntlet.
お姉の部長としての面目を潰しちゃうと悪いですし
Mion, now irritated, turns around with a glare. Nandeste?
なんですお姉
Look at these two. I love them. They're absolutely, like, I don't think this will change. They're my favorite characters of the whole game, of the whole series so far.
私も一緒に参加して姉妹対決にした方がいいですか多分やめといた方がお姉のためだと思いますけど
Mm-hmm.
あかんべ塩なんか混ぜてやらない仲間外れべーだ
Oh my gosh. Whoa, Mion just avoided a direct confrontation. Seemed like the twins were completely incompatible with each other.
混ぜてあげないの？みーちゃんとの対決見たかったかな？
I kind of was too.
私シオン嫌い
Aww.
あいつと戦うのは苦手なの
I'm bad against her. Oh, so you hate her because she wins. An angry Mion dragged me away. Slide.
頑張ってくださいねここで応援してますから
Aww. Thank you, Shion.
ケイちゃんファイトおう
Shion waved her hand at us, relieving the bliss of teasing Mion. Alright. Club activities have begun, which meant I needed to clear my mind. What was today's battle? Today's punishment game. I take anything on.
ほらほらケイチさん
Oh boy.
覚悟なさいませよ。今日は徹底的に行きますわよ。
おう上等だぜサトコだろうと誰だろうと手加減無用でぶっ潰してやるぜ
そこをレナは漁夫の利で優勝だよ。僕はそれに小判ザメで優勝を狙いますです。
All the manta rays and riding in the victory? What is that? Just playing off of her fish statement? How she'll fish up a victory? Oh wait, is that the game? Is it gonna be fishing?
リカちゃんが小判ザメみたいにペター。
Oh, I.
ほん持ち帰り。
よしみんな今日は大人数だから簡単で分かりやすいゲームにしよう
Uh-huh.
今日のゲームはね
Oh, are we just gonna cut away from it like this? I guess it doesn't really matter, but I was kind of looking forward to what that was gonna be. I guess it would have been more fun if Shion were participating. Everyone who lost the game dropped out and had to help clean up after the barbecue. Ah, that's fair. Yeah. Shion laughing more uproariously than anyone I ever heard when she saw my loser face. Okay, this was me getting bombed out of the game. Really that funny?
いやいやあの時のケイちゃんの顔お前らそれでも人間かよみたいな
Oh, jeez, come on.
ちくしょう長期の買い占めまでは作戦通りだったのに
Oh, did it just do rock, paper, scissors tournament?
あそこでサトコとリカちゃんの裏切りさえなければ
I was going great while we had maintained a united front. But Satoko had been quicker to betray me than I her. She was just a tiny bit better than me. Ugh.
だから北条を信じちゃいけないって警告したんですよ。
Tomita-kun and Kumura-kun were unanimously wearing I told you so faces. Incidentally, those two were victims of Satoko's traps pretty early on as well.
くそー富田君たちの分まで頑張るつもりだったのにな
And once again, for the showdown, it didn't matter. Maybe this meant I still couldn't match up with the other members yet.
で部活メンバーの最下位には何か罰ゲームがあるってことになってるんじゃなかったでしたっけ
Shion remarked as though forcing me to recall something I tried to forget, even for a moment.
そうだったかな。
He's like, oh, whoopsie.
そういえば前原さん、委員長と罰ゲームを決めるとき、かなり熱くなってましたけど。
Uh-oh. What did we do? What did we do?
さっきお姉にエンジェルモードの制服を調達してくれって頼まれたんですけど、
No!
それと何か関係あります？
Oh my gosh.
できる限り大きめのサイズでって言われたんですけど。
Holy crap. Tomita-kun and Okumura-kun were giving me these complex and indescribable looks, mixing empathy, pity, and a desire to see something scary all at once. Run! I think we broke him. All I could do now was laugh. Strangely enough, the more I laughed, the more I felt like I was actually funny. I lost!
あれあれ前原さん、どうしちゃったんですか？笑ったり、泣いたり、吠えたり。
Smiling, crying, howling.
いいんです。あれは嫌がってるふりのジェスチャーなんです。
Pretending.
罰ゲームを口実に得られる貴重な経験に興奮を隠せないだけなんです。
ねえ。No!
何が貴重な経験とは。
I held my head in my hands in agony. My state of mind could be summed up with a 3-letter word. It was... Coach gently put his hand on my shoulder. Was he comforting me?
前原さん、
He's like, it's important to uphold your obligations.
苦境を受け入れなければならない時はですね、厳しい指導を受けているメイドであると想像するんです。
That's not gonna work for me, you pervert!
ほら、絶望的なシチュエーションがなんだか楽しそうになってきませんか？
And it especially doesn't work when we're the ones in these kind of maid outfit.
いいじゃないですか。
Red in the face and indulging in his imagination, still holding my shoulders, Coach said. Oh, master, started twirling around like a ballerina. I had to wonder what kind of word association he'd gotten in his head. At the very least, it was much different than what was in mine. The first thing that comes to mind when I think of disciplining, that certainly isn't maids.
富田君、岡村君、君たちの監督は実に面白いな。
Yeah, he's weird.
こんなのでよく監督が務まるな。
Yeah, why isn't he in jail? Tobita-kun and Okumura-kun exchanged glances and answered with dry smiles. Then they added that he was a really nice person most of the time, which is something you'd normally say about a person like that. He's mostly okay. The coach's questionable revolution slowed to a stop, and his expression returned to a clear, calm one, almost making what just happened seem like an illusion. He can switch gears way too fast.
では、お片付けを続けましょう。前原さんは力持ちみたいですからね。プレートを水場に持って行って洗っていただけますか？
了解です。
I hoisted the dirty barbecue plates, each with slimy oil clinging to it, and looked for the wash basin. These are really heavy. Where's the wash basins? Over there. Figuring I should make it there before my arms gave out, I headed toward it at a trot. Uh-oh. A lot of the adults who had been helping out were using the wash basin, so I gave up and looked for a different set. I asked them, and they told me there were more right beside the assembly hall too, so I decided to head that way. Rather than multiple basins, there was just one faucet there. I initially thought it would be too small to wash plates as big as these, but they would probably still be faster than waiting for a faucet to open back there. I turned on the faucet with water much nicer looking than it gushed forth. I put the plate under the faucet and scrubbed with my hand to try and rub it clean. It didn't go very well.
はい。
Aww.
スポンジとクレンザー。そんなの水だけで洗ったって無理です。
Was she on? She threw a brand new sponge and container filled with cleaner to me.
お、サンキュー。
そんなの洗い場に置いて、大人たちに任せちゃえばいいのに。つくづくケイちゃんっていい人です。
I got the feeling that wasn't quite the compliment. I answered her with a forced smile.
シオンがひなみざわファイターズのマネージャーだったなんて驚いたぜ。そういうのはめんどくさがってやらないやつだと思ってた。
ええ、めんどくさいですよ。ですから今は完全に幽霊ですけどね。
At least she's honest.
監督、帰ってきてほしいって言ってたじゃないか。たまには帰ってきてやれよ。
まあ、気が向いたら。
Shion made it sound like the end of the world could happen before she felt like it. Whoops. I couldn't keep washing the dishes while preoccupied with conversation, so I decided to take my task seriously. Shion neither offered to help nor got in my way. She just quietly watched the water flowing from the faucet.
そうそう、聞きましたよ。
Uh-huh. You about to be another source of information?
昨日の試合、ケイちゃんが大活躍したそうじゃないですか。
褒めるなら、俺よりもホームランを決めたサトコの方だろう。あいつ、運動神経良かったんだな。俺驚いたよ。
サトシ君とは大違いです。
ああ。
きっと、運動神経は妹に全部取られちゃったに違いないですね。
Shion smiled as she spoke, her eyes looking at something far away, betraying her reminiscence.
サトシ君？
北条サトコの兄です。北条サトシ君。あ、そっか。ケイちゃんって今年引っ越してきたんでしたっけ？
Interesting. So, sounds like she's actually pretty familiar with him.
なら、会ったことありませんね。
I was a little surprised that Shion knew about Satoshi. So, I was saying Satoshi, but she was dropping the last vowel, so she's saying Satoshi.
会ったことはないけど、少しは知ってるよ。確か、両親が亡くなった後、転校したんだよな。
I avoided saying that he ran away from home and used the slightly more vague words that everyone else did.
転校？誰がそんなこと言ったんですか？
Uh-huh. I hadn't yet realized that Shion's tone had changed slightly. Oh, fetch me.
誰って？
What the? I'm not used to seeing the Shion scary face. What's going on here?
誰だっけかな？うん、誰かに聞いたんだよ。転校したって。
その誰かって誰ですか？誰かに聞いたから言ってるんですよね。転校って。
Uh-oh.
誰に聞いたかなんてよく覚えてないよ。転校だって言うならそれでいいだろ。別に問題があるわけじゃないし。
ありますよ。転校届が出されたわけですか？
Uh-huh.
学校とかに。それを誰かが見た？それとも聞いた？
Oh. Around that time, I not only noticed how awfully caught up on this Shion was, but also how strangely dangerous her eyes had begun to look.
シオン？なんだよお前。目がマジだぞ。
With that, Shion seemed to realize the expression she was making. She took a deep breath, pretended to fix her hair, and went back to her composed expression from before.
すみません。
Huh. Yeah, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that at all.
でもケイちゃん、よく知りもしないでサトシ君のこと、転校とか言わないでください。本当に。
Okay.
お願いしますね。
I realized I must have said something I shouldn't have. But I wasn't immediately sure of what I should apologize for, so I just said one safe word for now. Sorry.
なんとなく転校と聞かされて、そうだと信じてたんだよ。じゃあ、実際は違うのか？
It was, of course. Preceded by his parents. He had left his sister and run away. But I'd wanted to try and avoid using the word run away, so I pretended not to know. Upon seeing my flushed reply, she realized she was intimidating me, lowered her voice.
すみません。別にケイちゃんを責めてるわけじゃないんです。ちょっと言葉がきつすぎましたね。謝ります。
別に気にしてないよ。
That was a fib. I was actually a little scared even. Was there something wrong with saying he ran away? Was there some sort of misunderstanding in saying that he transferred? But before I could ask her, she turned on her heel to leave.
おい、シオン。
Yeah, can we have answers, please?
じゃあ、頑張ってください。ケイちゃんのプレートで最後みたいですよ。洗い物。
Her final remark reminded me of the dishes I'd so easily forgotten about. So immersed in my conversation were we that it got pretty late. I turned the faucet again to get the water flowing faster. Whoosh. I violently scrubbed the plate. When I turned back around, Shion was no longer there. By the time I'd finished washing the plates, most of the other things had been cleaned up. The air had cooled off before I'd realized it, and the heat that had stuck with us all day dispersed. A nice breeze started to blow. That was interesting. So, I wonder if Shion and Satoshi were friends, and then he just vanished. And people said that he transferred. That bothered her, though, because she tried to find out where he'd gone, maybe to try and keep in touch with him. And then...
では皆さん、
集合です
Hang on a sec. And then, and so that's why she got so mad. She wasn't mad at us for asking the question, which people can get mad at you for asking questions here, but I don't think Shion's the kind to do that. She's upset about all the secrecy and the backstabbing deals that go on behind the scenes. So I think she got intense because she used to be friends with him, and then he just up and vanished, and she couldn't figure out where he'd gone or lost contact with him. And so she's convinced something else happened to him, and she's really upset about that. So that's my current prediction based on her reaction. That was interesting. All right, Ewan, what do you got to say, Irie. Coach got everyone together and made his closing remarks. And with that, another fun day drew to a close. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. In the end, Mion ended the game with a magnificent victory. Satoko and Rika-chan, who had labored so hard to betray me, had fallen into a huge trap afterward, leaving them frustrated about more than a few things.
人を裏切る奴はいつか自分も裏切られる
I mean, that's probably true.
いい見本だな
そんなこと圭一さんに言われたくありませんわレナは誰の口車にも乗らなかったからね2位になれたんだよレナはなかなか嘘に引っかからないのです
Oh, if that ain't the truth. Liar.
勘がいいのですよ
I'm surprised. Seems like she would fall for the first lie to come her way.
それを言ったらケイちゃんでしょ。他人を食い物にしてやろうと欲張って真っ先に自分が食い物に。友達を紹介すれば紹介するほど高収入なんてバカな商法に引っかかるんじゃないよ。
Yeah, that's true. That's a fact of life right there. Think about all the crypto scams and just all the scams that you hear about. Make sure you don't fall for the dumb schemes that promise higher returns the more friends you rope in. That's a pyramid scheme.
へいへい努力しますよ
Or a multi-level marketing company, which is just a pyramid scheme with a different hat.
とほほほ
Cool. Even good friends will lay traps mercilessly and betray everyone in sight once they get in a serious enough game. That's a theme for this whole game series, right? But despite that, once it's all over, they can feel refreshed and laugh together. Also, he uses the phrase that good friends will lay traps mercilessly and betray everyone in sight once they get in a serious enough game. Maybe that's foreshadowing for what's about to come. It reminded me of how we were all such great friends.
それよりも圭一さんの罰ゲームが楽しみでございますわね
Oh no.
でも本当に実現できますの店長さんもそんなの嫌だって言うと思いましたよ
Oh no.
どうだろう圭一くんすっごく可愛くなるかもなるかも見てみたいかも
I'm sure you do.
僕もとても楽しみなのですよ転ばせてフキフキをさせますです
Oh, you better not.
ああ、それはいいね
I gotta say, that little laugh was very, very cute. I like that.
ああ、それはいいね
It's like a little witch cackle.
なぜここ一番で俺は勝てないんだ
It's true. It was a high.
絶対に勝ちたいこの罰ゲームは誰かにやらせてみたいと思うといつも負ける
He basically was saying he as long as he didn't lose, he was in a winning situation because any of the girls wearing that outfit, he'd be like, heck yeah. But now he has to do it.
足りないのか勝利への信念が足りないのかうわ
敗者の嘆きは蜜の味ですわね
Uh-huh, yeah, it sure does.
かわいそなのです圭一くんもこうやって強くなっていくんだね去年のみーちゃんを見てるみたい
Oh, really? Michan last year? What, did she always lose and moan about it in the past? Oh, very interesting. I didn't know our undefeated president Mion was once like that.
余計なことは言わなくていいの
Mion hastily covered Retta's mouth. Everyone watching burst out laughing. Finally, Rika-chan pulled up Satoko's sleeve.
さて僕たちはそろそろ行かないといけないのですあ、お夕飯のお買い物に行かないといけませんわね
I wanted to keep talking like this forever, but it was getting late. We split up with Satoko and Rika-chan and decided to go our own way home.
じゃあまた明日 学校で会おうね。
Yeah, see ya. Everyone waved at each other and split up for a short time between now and tomorrow.
じゃあ行こ
We began walking down the tall staircase leading from the shrine grounds. As the sun started to set, the afternoon heat began to disappear as though it were never there. Just listening to the chorus of the Higurashi was enough to make me forget about how hot it had been today.
そういえばまだ6月なんだよね。今年は梅雨とか全然ないで、いきなり夏みたいな感じだね。
Now that I thought about it, she was right. It was June, the season of long rain and hydrangeas and snails. I hadn't seen a real rainy season since transferring here.
週間予報によると、週明けあたりからはもうちょっと梅雨らしい天気になるらしいよ。大雨注意とか言ってたから。綿流しにぶつからなきゃいいんだけど。
Yeah.
う。そうなんだ。やっぱり梅雨は梅雨らしい方がいいよね。
What a phrase. The rainy season's supposed to be rainy. People die when they're killed. Visual novels always delivering the best lines.
レナは梅雨の長雨って結構好きだよ。
I do too. I actually really like the rain. It's actually been uncommonly dry this summer, and it's been affecting my garden. I've actually had to start watering it, which normally I don't have to do at all.
長雨なんて気がめいるだけだって。ねえ、ケイちゃん。
あ
I was a little spaced out. It was late in answering Mion. I was thinking back to my conversation with her sister. When I said that Satoshi transferred, Shion clearly got angry. She was mad at me for saying something so careless. I mean, it may have been a vague way of skirting around the fact that he ran away from home, but I don't think it was so bad that Shion would need to feel mad about it. I wasn't really satisfied with it. I felt like a child, completely ignorant of what he was being scolded for. So my thoughts spilled out of my mouth in a very discreet fashion.
サトコに兄貴っていたよな。サトシって名前だっけ？
Oh. As soon as I said the name Satoshi, Ren and Mion both lost their relaxed, comfortable mood and made strange expressions. Should I have avoided talking about this? That's what they made me think. But I've already said it, so that's that. And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't interested.
サトシってどうしたんだっけ？引っ越したんだっけ？
That was such a transparent way of putting it, but in my desire... Sorry, keep right-clicking. My desire to know everything, I feigned ignorance. Mion turned around and looked at Rena for assistance. Rena looked between us, then quietly and softly spoke.
あれ言わなかったかな。転校しちゃったんだよ。
He transferred out. She's even using the quotes. When I said those words to Shion, she got upset. So I answered her with the same words Shion had given me.
転校って、誰がそんなことを言ったんだよ。
Uh-oh. I had only intended to borrow Shion's words if I said it exactly the same way she had, right down to the thorns in my voice. When I realized what I'd done, I immediately tried to soften my remark.
本当に転校したなら、転校届とかが学校に提出されるはずだろ。でも、そんなの、実際には出てないんじゃないのか？
Mion and Rena, their eyes grew wide. They were at a loss for words. I started to feel like they were doing something really bad. I thought they were only hiding the fact that Satoko's older brother ran away out of consideration for her.
別に、二人を責めてるわけじゃないんだぜ。ただ、サトシはどうしたのかなって聞いてみてるだけのつもりで。
I think he needs to frame it right here. If he's gonna not make them really, potentially, worried or upset about him, I would be like, look, I've gotten to know her, and I feel like it's really kind of a crappy thing to do, to just leave your sister with no one, and it just feels weird that he just transferred out. I just wanted to understand why or what happened. I wasn't trying to blame them. The fact that I had to remind them, even looking like I was tormenting them with an impossible question. No, maybe I was actually bullying them. Maybe I had lashed out at them in retaliation for Shion getting mad at me. This whole day had been so much fun, but now... Why did I go and say something that made all of it meaningless? Couldn't help but regret my own careless curiosity. That's enough. Let's drop it now. As I was about to say that, Mion spoke up.
別に隠そうとか騙そうとか、そういうつもりじゃないのを分かってほしいんだけど。
Mion's tone conveyed her genuine awkwardness. They sounded like the excuse of a child who'd been presented with evidence of her own mischief.
サトシは転校したわけじゃないんだよ。
Here we go, Mion said, resigning herself. But I felt bad for pushing her to say that. So, it's okay, Mion. Let's stop talking about Satoshi. Satoshi. Sorry for teasing you. I wanted to apologize, but right before that...
帰ってこないの。
Oh, that's horrifying. Unlike Mion's stammered reply, Rena was took it extremely clear and resolute.
帰ってこないって。
ある日から家に帰ってこないの。
Uh-huh. He won't come back. That was a very strange way of putting it. Normally, you would say he hadn't come back yet. At least I thought you'd only say like Rena if he wasn't capable of coming back. You wouldn't say like that when you're talking about someone who ran away from home. You're talking about someone who died.
帰ってこないって、どういう意味だよ。じゃあ、サトシはどこへ行ったんだよ。
知らない。
Rena's word choice felt very cold to me, and the way she said it was very cold. This is the scary Rena coming back. It was so cold I couldn't muster a response right away.
だからさ、レナの言う通りなんだよ。ある日を境に、サトシは家に帰ってこなかった。
So what happened? Mion noticed the deadlock between us and hurriedly followed up with what Rena had said.
まあ村中みんなで探したし、警察も方々を探してくれたよ。
Ah, yeah, he did get vanished.
それで家出じゃないかって話になってさ。
家出じゃないかって話になって。
When running away from home, I thought that you were supposed to leave a note or something. So when Satoshi ran away, he would probably have left some kind of letter apologizing to Satoko, or that's kind of what I figured. I don't know. Maybe that's the case, but I think it's a cliche. It's kind of like, I don't know. You might leave a note, but if you really just wanted to leave, you might not leave a note because you don't want to be followed. But from the way Mion was talking, it seems a little different than just running away from home.
警察の人が調べたらさ、サトシってバイトとかでコツコツとお金を貯めててさ、貯金とかしてたんだけど、それをいなくなった日に全部下ろしてたのが分かったんだよ。
That does sound like him running away.
で、名古屋駅だかでサトシによく似た人が目撃されたとかで。
He withdrew all his savings and funded his escape from home. Was that it? It seemed consistent enough to me. But before I could say anything...
私はそんなの嘘だと思う。
Oh, you're just gonna say it,
サトシ君は家出なんかじゃない。
declared Rena shortly.
ちょっと待てよ。転校したわけでもなく、引っ越したわけでもなく、それで家出したわけでもないなら、一体サトシはどうして。
やめなよ、レナ。
Mion whispered to her. Rena, however, continued without interruption. And then she said this.
だってこれはお社様のたたりだもの。
Boom, like a bomb dropped on the oh man, that's interesting. So I feel like in the last chapter they really didn't talk about the curse that much, right? It really was about the Sonozaki family primarily. They mentioned the curse in passing as if it was a possibility, but it wasn't a focus. I guess that this one is going to be a focus.
たたり?
It took some time before I understood what Rena meant by that. Mion clicked her tongue and shook her head a little.
サトシ君は消える前に私に教えてくれた。
Oh, scary Rena is here. Oh no.
誰かに見張られている。後をつけられている。家の中にまでついてくる。寝るとき、枕元に立って見下ろしてるって教えてくれた。
Holy crap, Rena, don't do this.
やめなよ、レナ。
それは間違いなく、お社様のたたりの前兆。きっとサトシ君は、心のどこかで、Hinamizawaを捨てて逃げ出そうという気持ちがあったんだと思う。
That phrase, abandoning Hinamizawa.
それを、お社様は許さなかった。
だからやめなって。
お社様は、Hinamizawaの守り神様。
So, Rena is very much like a devout person in this whole cult thing. In fact, I think it's interesting. Like, I almost feel like she would be so devout to him that she would have volunteered to be a shrine maiden with Rika.
Hinamizawa を捨てて逃げ出そうとする人を絶対に許さない。
Holy crap, Rena.
私はそれを謝った。でも、サトシ君はきっと謝らなかった。
Oh, she apologized for it with blood.
だから、
Oh!
お社様のたたりに遭ってしまったに違いないの。
Hello, chapter 1, Rena. You were so reasonable last chapter. Holy crap!
お社様のたたりだって？
I hadn't intended to repeat it, but the words came out of my mouth anyway. Oishiro-sama's curse.
警察が家出だって決めつけたって、信じない信じない。私は絶対に信じない。そんなの、たたりだと認めたくない村の偉い人たちが決めただけの嘘っぱち。
Oh boy, you're radical.
お社様のたたりは、信じようと信じまいと、確かに。
Wham! Mion struck Rena in the head. And not in a joking way either.
いい加減にしろって言ってるでしょ。
Holy crap!
恩和の私でも島には怒るよ。
Pushing her to her limits. Actually, there was plenty of displeasure and anger in Mion's face at the moment. This is wild, because in the first chapter, Rena and Mion were a little bat crap crazy curse-wise, right? Then in chapter 2, Rena was reasonable and Mion was the one that went really crazy. But here, it seems Mion's being the reasonable person. That's so interesting. For a few moments after being hit, Rena looked astonished. Perhaps the voices of the Higurashi calmed her frantic mind, because after a little while she regained her original calm expression. Holy crap. We arrived at the place we always split up with Mion. No one said a word until we got there. The voices of the Higurashi just tortured our ears with their buzzing. We always split up with Mion here, leaving Rena with just Rena and me.
あのさ、ケイちゃん、前に漫画化すって約束したじゃない？
She's like, hey, come with me. Rena, you go on ahead.
よかったら寄ってく。
Huh? She promised that? However, I quickly realized it was a convenient way of saying she wanted to talk to me alone.
あ、そうなんだ。
Of course, she knows exactly what that is. I'll lie.
じゃあ、レナは先に帰ってるね。
Maybe she realized it. Maybe she didn't. Oh, she absolutely did. Thankfully, Rena quickly said she'd go home before us.
じゃあね、レナ。また明日。
うん。また明日ね。ケイチくんもあまりお邪魔しすぎないようにね。もう夕方だから。
ちょっと本を借りに寄るだけだよ。じゃあな。
Considering the fun day we had, it was a very insipid, lonely parting. Yeah, talking about poisoning the
さ
well.
っきの、あまり気にしないでね。
How are we not supposed to worry about that? Even if it was dramatized. Someone's eyes start looking like that, they talk like that, I wouldn't be sure I knew that person anymore. I can't imagine Keiichi's gonna be able to brush that under the rug, no matter how calm you are. After a little while, Mion finally spoke. Quite some time had passed since splitting up with Rena.
いや、別に。俺の方が悪かったと思う。
サトシの話は、別に隠してたわけじゃないんだよ。
It's clearly a decisive and antagonistic topic.
その、あまり触れない方がいい話だからさ。
Well, Mion, the problem with all of you is the fact that you have all these rules that you won't ever explain. So when we step on the rules and you get mad at us for it, how are we supposed to avoid them? We didn't know what the game was. At this point, I understood exactly what she meant by that. Judging by our odd interaction with Rena, I understood it so well it hurt that I shouldn't ever talk about it again. Actually, if that's the case, then with Shion too. No, this is a bigger problem. Talking about it in the first place had been indiscreet. I shouldn't have been interested at all. But that's why I really had to think about it. About why everyone got so irritated. Idiot, stop this, Keiichi Maribara. By the time I tried to warn myself, I'd accidentally spoken already.
もう二度と聞かないからさ、正直なところを教えてくれないか。一体、サトシに何があったんだ？家出なんだろ
For a long time, Mion remained silent, but finally unable to endure it any longer, she began to speak timidly.
お社様のたたりの話は、聞いたことある？
Oh boy.
ほんの少しくらいなら。
I got the gist of it. I only overheard someone in class talking about it, though. Oishiro-sama was the name of the deity protecting Hinamizawa that they worshipped at the shrine we had the barbecue at today. And a few years ago, when they started talking about flooding Hinamizawa as part of the dam project, one of the people working on the site died or something, and people blamed it on Oyashiro-sama's curse. That's how it was.
サトシの死んだ親ってのがさ、ダムの誘致派でね。
え？ひなみ沢の人って、村中でダムに反対してたんじゃないのか？村人なのに、ダムの賛成派もいたのか？
The dam project would flood the entirety of Hinamizawa. I'd heard the village all got together to fight the terrible project, but it was a little hard to believe there'd be villagers who were supporting it.
まあ、いろいろと事情もあってね。ダム計画に反対する人ばかりでもなかったんだけどさ。で、その親ってのが、誘致派のリーダー格だったんだよ。
誘致派のリーダー格？つまり、サトコとサトシの親が、ってことだよな。
うん。国は、ダム工事に伴って、多額の保証金を用意してたからね。
So they saw the payout as like a way to, improve their lives or go somewhere that they might have enjoyed more.
そのお金が欲しくて、ダム計画に賛成してた人たちも結構いたんだよ。
Aside from a few households, Hinamizawa was in general not very affluent, and not because they were proud to inherit the land of their ancestors. It wouldn't be strange if some people wanted enough money to start a new life. But even in that case, they would have been hesitant to say so given the situation. It just happened to be Satoko and Satoshi's parents who understood that and stood up to be their representative. By that standard, you might say Satoko and Satoshi's parents were very heroic. They volunteered to be hated, to help those without much money who didn't have a voice.
それで、運悪くその両親がさ、お社様を祀るお祭りの日に事故死しちゃったんだよね。それで、お社様のたたりにあったんじゃないかってことになっちゃったわけ。
Oh, I just had a really terrible thought. How they died, right? They went on a walkway, and like with the rain and like the loosening of the screws, they fell. And we now know Satoko was there. There isn't a chance that Satoko set a trap for them, is there? Because if that were the case, that she believed in the curse and decided or was convinced that her parents were going to destroy their family, she might have done it in a spirit of protecting herself and her brother, right? So what if she orchestrated the accident? And then Satoshi found out about it. He learned that Satoko had somehow participated in that. And that's why he ran away. Because he was scared that now he knew the truth, that he was next. And he didn't want to look at her anymore because he knew she'd been involved somehow. I wonder if that was it. I thought back to what Coach told me today. They went to a nature park on a family outing and fell from a cliff.
で、サトシが家出したのまで、お社様のたたりってことにされちまったわけか。
まあ、うん、そんな感じ。
It was a bit of an evasive reply, but it felt like it was wrong to ask further, so I didn't press her for details.
もう説明するまでもないと思うけどさ、サトコにとっては、両親の事故もサトシの家出も、
Yeah, earth-shattering.
そしてお社様のたたりなんて話も、愉快な話じゃないのはわかるでしょ。
Yeah, of course I knew. I could only nod silently.
だからさ、私たちはサトコの家族の話には触れないことにしてる。サトシのことは、仮に聞かれても、転校したってごまかすことにしてる。
But Shion's mad at that because the evidence points to the fact that he was vanished and she thinks that he was murdered. And she's upset about that because they were probably friends.
その辺の事情を、汲み取ってもらえるよね。
They wanted to protect Satoko's happiness, her smile. As someone who thought that way once, even for a short time, I really did regret having been imprudent enough to broach the topic to begin with.
ああ、わかるよ。俺も軽はずみなことを聞いたと後悔してる。
When she heard that, Mion smiled, seeming a little relieved. Without understanding, thinking that I should get going, I began to make my way home. I could really have stopped by Mion's house, but it was already late. I stopped by again the next time I had a chance.
じゃあな、ミオン。今日は悪かったな。また明日な。
じゃあね。
We waved to each other. Then suddenly remembering something, Mion called out to me.
ケイちゃん、あとさ、サトコにだけじゃなく、レナの前でも、サトシの話は慎んでくれるかな。
Yeah, I get the impression that's a bit of a trigger for her. We probably shouldn't poke that bear.
え？
さっきので分かったと思うけどさ、レナって、どういうわけか、お社様のたたりの話だけは、
Yeah.
笑い転校してきた時から。
Yeah, judging from how Rena was acting earlier, it was clearly no laughing matter to her. Mion had interrupted the conversation for us by punching her. The fact that that's what it took to snap her out of it's insane. But if Mion hadn't been here, what might have happened?
どうしてレナはあんなにマジになるんだろうな。
Not only Rena either, but Shion too.
知らない。レナはね。あ、これ内緒だよ。
Oh boy.
言ったら絶好だよ。
Oh, fetch! Mion emphasized this as her expression clouded even further.
言わないよ。で、レナが何だってんだよ。
お社様のたたりに会ったことあるんだって。
Right.
え？
私は悪いけど被害妄想過剰な何かの思い込みじゃないかって思ってるんだけどね。
Interesting. That's a point of view that didn't really come up in the game, but I did think, like, persecution complex, that is an interesting way to approach this. I thought she was just having a psychotic break, but that could be it.
でも本人はそう言ってるし、そう信じてる。茶化すとかなり怒る。レナは普段はちゃらけてるけど、怒るとかなり怖い。
Yeah, understatement of the flippin' year. She's really scary when she's mad.
レナの前でも言うなってことだろ。サトシの話。
うん、できればこの話題にも二度と触れるべきじゃないと思うね。
Oh, that's gonna be tough for Keiichi. He can't help it.
レナのためにも、サトコのためにもさ。
For everyone else's too. And if I must say, for your own sake too, Keiichi-chan. Kei-chan. With her silence, Mion made sure I knew that.
そうだな。うん、わかったよ。
ありがとう。
Saying that only that, she waved her hand and began walking away. I watched her go, a little dazed, and then started walking myself. Satoko's older brother, Satoshi. Had he run away from home? Or had he been a victim of a curse and disappeared forever? Whichever the case, none of this was anything I should have asked about. The cooling air forced me into self-reflection. Me too. So what's going to happen here is it might be left alone. It might have been okay, but now we're going to have the disappearances and death around Watanagashi, and that's going to spur him to have to, like, to be more invested in trying to figure this out. I wanted Satoko to smile. Yet my curiosity easily defeated me. I frivolously tried to step into the dark side of things in my own joking way. I'm shameful. I wanted today to be exactly like yesterday. I wanted tomorrow to be just as fun as today too. So why did I go and do something like that? We were having a blast after the baseball game yesterday. And today we had a blast at the big barbecue party too. It was a lot of fun. And then I went and almost nullified all the fun times. I would have been more careful starting I would have been more careful starting tomorrow. I would put all this unpleasant stuff behind me forever. Like hell, I'm gonna let my enjoyable life end because of how careless I was today. Oh, I'm sorry, son. I think you're too late. But the more I thought I'd be more careful starting tomorrow, the more I couldn't get rid of the ominous thought that I'd already put an end to those enjoyable days with what I'd just done. Hey, wait. Calm down, Keiichi Maribara. The gears of destiny aren't freaking gigantic, okay? Aren't they? What happened just now was trivial. It doesn't make any sense to think my life will be totally different starting tomorrow. Bad news, bro. But even though I understood it logically, the mist in my heart wasn't going to fade until tomorrow turned out to be as fun as today.
変だぞ、俺。さっきのみんなとのやりとり。ちょっと気にしすぎだぜ。
I wish tomorrow would come already. I wanted it to make me understand how absurd my insignificant doubts really were. The night was long. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the end there. I wonder if we have a tip this time. I'm sure we have one, but I wonder if we have multiple. This has been a long episode. Oh, there's 3. Oh, we're gonna be here forever. Okay, but they're probably pretty short. Alright, let's view the new tips. I like that the picture changes there. Just her talking. The slacking manager.
シオンさんも少しは手伝ってください。
女の子に重いものを運ばせようって言うんですか？そんなだからいい年になっても相手が見つからないんですよ、監督は。
Sheesh, going right for the jugular.
ですね。そういうのを曰くこう言います。余計なお世話です。
He was loading the station wagon with heaps of equipment we'd use for today's barbecue meeting. All the fathers and sons who had helped were starting to get on their way.
さて、シオンさんはどうしますか？あなた、ここまでは何で来ました？自転車でしたら、積んで送って差し上げますよ。
バイクだからいいです。お心遣いだけで嬉しいってことにしときます。
今日は来てくれて嬉しかったですよ。やはりマネージャーさんがいないと、パッとしませんからね。
まだ私マネージャーなんですか？1年も丸々サボってんだから、こんな無能マネージャー、いい加減に解雇するべきだと思いますよ。
ええ。シオンさんが辞めたいって、自分で言えたら、いつでも解雇してあげますよ。
ずるいな。
She's like, oh crap.
早く解放してくださいよね。試合があるたびに来ないかと電話がかかってくるの、もううざくて叶わないんですから。
シオンちゃんももっともっと素直になれば、とってもキュートで可愛い女の子なのに。お父さんは悲しいですよ。一体どこでねじ曲がってこんなにひねくれてしまったんだか。
Keep right-clicking, I'm sorry. You're creepy.
ああ、お父さんの愛の抱擁で力強く包み込めば、目が覚めますか？でしたら遠慮なく。
No.
ほら。
Coach was fooling around with all his might, but Shion just smiled into the distance without responding.
何も変わってない。監督が変な人で、みんなの賑わいも何も。
サトシ君だけいない、とおっしゃりたいのですか？帰ってきますよ。きっと、待っている人がいるんですから。
So that's what I thought. So they were close.
勝手なこと言っててください。
彼も罪作りな人ですよね。こんな可愛い彼女を置き去りにして、どこへ行ってしまったんだか。
So they were actually like an item.
彼女？
So maybe they weren't official, or they were probably close enough.
もう、いつまで笑ってるんですか？監督
Coach bent over and laughed heartily for a little while.
では、またお会いしましょうね。試合にも、たまには応援に来てくださいよ。
まあ、気が向いたら。
Oh, she even said.
私、マネージャーなんか全然、もうやる気ないんですから。
She even said she doesn't bother going to games if there's not someone cute to cheer on. She was going there and managing there because she probably wanted to be closer and be around Satoshi. And then when he left, she just stopped coming, which is why she's saying, oh, I haven't been there for a year. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
いいんですよ。あなたが嫌なら、いつでもクビにしてあげますよ。嫌がるのを無理やりってのは、私の性分ではありませんからね。
Huh.
はいはい。すみませんね。私の負けです。気が向いたらまた応援に来ますので、今日は堪忍してください。
Yeah, be patient. So I think maybe she doesn't want to give it up yet either because she does kind of hope that Satoshi will come back. But I think she doesn't believe it, and that's why she got so upset too because like everyone just says he transferred away, but like he didn't say a word to her. He just up and left. He didn't leave a means of communication, and she can't find any record of where he went. And she like clearly cared a lot about him, and so like naturally she'd be very upset about it all.
おっと、もうこんな時間。 機材返す約束の時間が。先方、もうだいぶ待たせてますね。では今日はこの辺で。また次の試合でお会いしましょう。
ええ、気が向いたらね。
She won't be there.
さよなら、監督。
Interesting. Alright, copy of the preliminary autopsy. The autopsy suggests the victim was killed in the following manner. 1. Entire body bound in restraints. Traces left behind from where the body seemed to have been bound indicated usage of a specific restraining table rather than a rope or another common method. So the ritual table. Finger joints on either hand appear to have been bound especially tight. Highly likely the table is either specially made or homemade, given this information. 2. Both ears and nose were severed with a sharp blade. Traces of restraints and other things seem to suggest that there was at least one more other than the one who severed these body parts holding down the victim's head. Possible that multiple blades were used, one of them most likely being scissors or shears. Oh gosh, can you imagine? That'd be horrifying. 3. 5 nails penetrated fingers on each hand. 1 long nail stuck in each joint of each finger on each hand for a total of 30. Holy crap. The deceased's fingers were nailed to the wooden plank 20 square centimeters large. Extremely likely these planks were a part of the restraining table. In addition, it's likely the table was originally designed for such a purpose. 4. Abdomen incised, intestines removed. The incision of the abdomen is likely to have been a technique grounded in medical methodology using a sharp blade. Estimated that there's still no threat to the victim's life at this stage. Good grief. It was maximized for pain and to try and make them live as long as possible. After this, the organs inside the incision were dismantled and removed. The victim likely died as a result of this process. Body disposed. After fastening the dumbbell to the victim's neck using a commercial pet collar, the victim was likely abandoned in the Ojo River's third drain. Judging by the dumbbell's weight, it's highly possible that it would have needed at least 3 grown men to have disposed of the body. To Oishi-san. Here's a copy of the preliminary autopsy of the slaughtered corpse at the Oji River. Chief Shigeharu sees this as having a possible relation to the S group. What are your thoughts, Oishi-san? So, who was that supposed to be? The S group? That's Satoshi. Could that have been Satoshi? Or was that just... Because there's a whole body that was discovered at the beginning of the story, but that felt like that was a body that was in like a shallow creek bed rather than like thrown into like a I guess it was a drainage canal though. But yeah, very clearly like the torture to death for Watanagashi. Alright, East round 3. There he is.
ロンチュンドラさん、満願です。
なんすかそれ。なんでドラが3つも入んすか。
バカモンが。大石がテンパイしとんの分かっててカンドラ増やしよってからに。自業自得じゃぞ。
チュンさらしたらドラを上乗せするぐらいしかやることないじゃないですか。厄介さらしたらドラそばは切っちゃダメですよ。
Is this Hanafuda? I want to learn how to play that game. Oishi grinned meaningfully as his buddies, swearing, began breaking down the walls and reforming them.
時に大石さん、どうですか？割れましたか？
Oh, walls, so that's probably Mahjong, right?
なんじゃい。ああ、例のドブ川惨殺死体の話かの。
Oh, so maybe this is a new body.
何か手がかりはあったのか？
ねえ、まあ。村はそっちで取ってくださいよ。
さすが。何者です、仏。
間宮里奈、本名は律子。
Mamiya. Rina Mamiya, actual name Ritsuko. Who's that?
シボネフラワーロードにあるブルーマーメイドってキャバクラに勤めてたみたいっす。
Okay.
やれやれ。そらやばい店じゃな。確か、園崎家の若頭の店じゃろ。園崎？あった。S 号関連か。
Oh, S group is the Sonozaki. Yeah, so they use the code word because that's a powerful name.
難航しそうな山だな。
噂じゃ仏さん、園崎の上納金に手をつけちゃったらしいっす。 話じゃかなりシャレにならない規模らしいっす。
Oh, okay, so they're embezzling.
女が上納金に手を出したか。裏に男がいそうじゃのう。女の単独犯なんてそうそうないぞい。
どうせもう死んでますよ。死体がまだ出ないだけで。
Right.
そうそう、おいさん。女の同居人、生きてるみたいですよ。
生きてる？じゃあこれから死ぬんでしょうね。害虫が害虫を駆除してくれるんだから。本当に素敵な自浄機能だと思いますよ。
Oh, interesting.
その紐なんですがね。北条鉄平なんですよ。
Teppei Hojo. So that's Sonozaki's Teppei.
北条？誰だい？
北条鉄平。去年、hinamizawaで起こった主婦撲殺事件の仏のご主人ですよ。
Okay. Wait, so her man, so he was, so like the housewife was beaten to death, and then he was out and about and was able to be in another relationship with another lady who now also died?
事件の後姿を消したって聞いてましたけど。そうか。その女のところに転がり込んでたか。
ますますに、園崎の匂いがプンプンだのう。
Right.
彼氏は今どこに？
女のアパートに同居してたんすがね。女が自分を捨てたと思ったみたいで、店やたまりのあちこちを探し回ってるらしいっす。
Alright, interesting. So he's still around. I thought he was in prison, so that's really odd that he's still around. Alright. I'm not sure what to make of that. That's a pretty big reveal, I think. I feel like that has a lot more significance than I'm currently capable of like really wrapping my mind around. So I'm sure you're all just dying inside because I feel like that's a really big clue, but I can't put it in a context that makes sense right now. So I'll chew on it for a while. Maybe it'll make more sense later, but yeah, things are getting spicy quick. I think we're kicking things off a little faster than I thought. I thought I was going to wait till after Watanagashi to kick everything off, but maybe the next chapter will be Watanagashi. And it's just, we kind of preluded it this time where it's like the spice is already like here. And then it's going to be like solidified at Watanagashi itself. So we'll have to see what happens next week. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for dealing with this for, God, it's a long episode. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I might break up the next one if it's going to be that long of a chapter because this is exhausting. And I feel like I end up rushing past stuff that I'd like to give more time to, but it felt like there wasn't really a good time to stop that. It all just flowed together really well. So anyway, I won't say too much more. Just I'm grateful you're here. Thank you especially to the patrons and members for supporting the channel, especially through something like the break I went on. I appreciate that you're still willing to support me, and I hope that I make content that's worthwhile for you to stick around for. I got some ideas of a patron cast to do in the near future, so keep an eye out for that. I also think that there's some projects I'm going to start working on that I'm going to be giving some insight on for the patrons and members, because it'd be nice to get some, to have some opinions to hear about some projects that are in very, very, very early stages of development. But I'm kind of committed to the idea now of doing a lot more, side hustle stuff, I guess, on the creative front. I think it's just time for me to do that, and I'm literally really looking forward to that. So hopefully you'll stick around for it. But for now, thank you so much, and until the next video you're watching, maybe to see me next. I'll see you there.